directors like Sergei Loznitsa, Viktor Kosakowski, which we had the film yesterday, Thomas Heise, and a lot of other very important names. And Heino is German, and he will surely tell us about a lot about Germany and co-production with Germany and his experiences with producing in Europe. On here, directly on my right side, is Marco Alessi from Italy. He started his career as a screenwriter and founded in 2010 Dugong Films. It's a Rome-based production company which had a lot of films had their films in very important festivals, the same as Heino and the other two in Cannes, Venice, in Amsterdam, and Berlin, which they really moved their films in a very high level. On my I said right side, this is the left side. On my right side, it's Eugenia Mumenthaler. She's from Argentina, but she works and has her production company, Alina Films, in Switzerland. Because the interesting thing here in the panel is, Heino studied at the beginning law. You were a screenwriter at the beginning. Eugenia started as anthropologist, and Tiago is architect. Yeah? So it's very interesting for the producers that they have in their backstory. Like, you are an exception, but they're coming from very different places in their approach and bring this knowledge to production. And yeah, you also have had your films in Locarno and Visionerin in Berlin. You have a different production structure. This is also interesting here. We have different kind of production companies, bigger ones, smaller ones. And it will be very interesting to hear how is it for you to produce from Switzerland out, co-produce out of Switzerland. And Tiago Hespanha is from Portugal. He is also a director, and he is co-founder of Terratreme, which is a collective, a producer collective, which it's also an interesting view of producing together with other six with our 5 producers and directors. From the 6, 5 of them are directors. You have a relation also to Spain. You made a master in the Pompeu Fabra, and you're still teaching now as in there. No? Not there, but you're teaching, you have a master class for documentary. I invite you to read about the biography of all of them, the films they had. It's really huge and interesting, but now we have not so, what is the model?
Cruce español con portugués y con algo más que es mi cabeza, que es otro idioma. Antes de deciros y agradecer también la invitación y la oportunidad de estar aquí y compartir con vosotros un poco de lo que es la experiencia mía en Terratreme. Antes de deciros cómo coproducimos, quería deciros un poco cómo producimos, para explicar un poco desde dónde os voy a hablar de cine y de cómo producir películas. Yo soy director, he llegado al cine como has dicho antes, yo venía de la arquitectura, un día descubrí el documental y eso me cambió un poco los planes de vida y lo descubrí con un grupo de gente haciendo películas. Fue una formación muy práctica que hicimos con Les Ateliers Varin, que es una asociación de documentalistas francesa, de que hoy hago parte también. Y era un grupo de 12 personas que veníamos de distintos orígenes y de distintas formaciones anteriores y y hemos descubierto cómo hacer películas juntos y haciéndolas. Y para nada pensando en la producción, porque era un marco de formación. Cuando eso terminó, quedó el deseo de no solamente seguir haciendo películas, trabajando en cine, pero también de seguir trabajando juntos. Entonces, esto fue para más o menos situaros en el tiempo, en el 2006. Hemos empezado a discutir entre un grupo de 6 personas cómo podíamos seguir nuestras ambiciones de hacer películas. Y en Portugal las cosas han cambiado mucho en los últimos, diría, 15 años o 10 años más. Antes de esto había un modelo que no sé siquiera si era un modelo muy instituido, porque había muy pocos medios, pero muy basado en la idea de productor a la antigua. O sea, el productor que tiene acceso a dinero y puede de repente bajar la mano sobre un director y convertir en director, convertir una idea en una película. Pero esto nosotros sabíamos que no funcionaba así, y más que nada lo que queríamos era encontrar forma de poder tener mano en nuestros productos. Si cada uno de nosotros fuera, y eso sería una posibilidad, que cada uno fuera a buscar un productor, yo estoy seguro que no hubiéramos hecho ni tantas películas. Y seguramente algunos de nosotros no estaríamos más haciendo cine hoy. Entonces, por eso Terratreme empezó en el 2008 más con la idea de ser una cooperativa o un colectivo de creadores, de cineastas, que una productora, una empresa de producción. La idea de tener una empresa para nosotros era algo muy lejos de nuestro incluso imaginario. Pero resulta que en Portugal, y creo que en gran parte de Europa, para presentarse a una financiación pública, infelizmente, pero ese es otro debate, no nos podemos presentar como colectivo, tenemos que presentarnos como empresa, una empresa productora. Entonces, vale, ok, creamos una empresa productora. Y al inicio, esta empresa éramos nosotros 6, o sea, somos 6 productores, 5 de los cuales somos directores. Y en nuestra idea, lo que queríamos era compartir recursos, o sea, un lugar, material, equipamiento, cámara, sonido, un ordenador, pero creo que más que eso, compartir, esto va a sonar un poco raro, la solitud del acto creativo. O sea, una creación es un movimiento muy personal, subjetivo y muchas veces muy solitario, pero una cosa es yo estar solo con mis utopías, otra cosa es estar solo con mis utopías a tu lado, que tienes las tuyas, y al lado de él, y que todos nos encontramos, y no obligatoriamente no obligatoriamente van a salir de aquí películas codirigidas o conjuntas, pero podemos ayudarnos a compartir energía, porque el proceso creativo tiene que alimentarse de algo, y ese algo es un deseo que vive mucho de la energía de uno, pero la energía también se agota, y se agota muy fácilmente con los procesos de producción. Entonces Terratreme surgió así, un colectivo de creadores, y poco a poco esto fue creciendo. Hicimos las primeras películas con muy pocos medios de financiación, digo, medios más instituidos, y basados más o menos en el éxito que estas películas podían alcanzar.
hay sonido? Ah, sí, ahora se abre. Vale. Entonces esto fue creciendo y claro, no solamente teníamos y producíamos nuestras películas desde estos 5, sino desde el inicio la idea no era hacer una casa cerrada, era hacer una casa de puertas y ventanas abiertas para poder entrar otra gente que tuviera también proyectos. Y este grupo, que son 6, en realidad al expandido somos muchos más. Hoy, saltando al día de hoy, es una estructura que vive hay una oficina donde trabaja gente, que no somos nosotros 6, aparte uno de nosotros que sí que está ahí a diario, pero hay una estructura profesional de gente que está ahí y que hace todas las tareas de burocracia, producción ejecutiva, distribución, postproducción, o sea, un poco de planificación del proceso de una película. Intentamos que cada uno de nosotros 6 siempre esté acompañando el director. O sea, siempre hay uno de nosotros involucrado en cada proyecto. Para nosotros había algo que era vacilar, que es la idea de que en el centro del proyecto está el director. Y él es la fuerza motriz, o sea, el motor del proyecto. Porque todo lo demás tiene que basarse en ese deseo que le pertenece a él y que, claro, comparte con nosotros y vamos a discutirlo y a meterle aire para que pueda crecer. Pero todas las decisiones tienen que ser tomadas con el director. Y cuando digo todos, hablo sobre todo, y porque es algo muy importante, del presupuesto de una película. O sea, el director participa en esa discusión y más que participar en esa discusión se monta alrededor de su sensibilidad. Si un director me dice, o si llegamos discutiendo el proyecto a la idea de que esta película tendrá que ser rodada en 16 milímetros durante 6 meses. Esto tiene una implicación directa en el presupuesto y en el modelo de producción. O sea, si esta película lo que le cuadra bien es un equipo de 3 personas trabajando 6 meses, pues vamos a ver cómo eso se posibilita. Otro puede necesitar un equipo de 20 personas una semana en un estudio. Y entre estas dos hay miles de posibilidades según qué proyectos tenemos delante. Y esto, que para nosotros es algo muy intuitivo y muy simple, porque venimos vemos las películas como directores, como quien hace películas, no es tan fácil cuando empezamos a tocar la coproducción. Yo, y esta mañana lo comentábamos yo y Eugenia en el desayuno, que yo estoy en un momento que soy un poco sospechoso de los modelos de coproducción instituidos en Europa, que es lo que conocemos mejor. También deciros que nosotros hemos empezado a coproducir no desde el inicio, sino desde hace mitad del camino, o sea, desde hace 6 años más o menos. El sistema está montado, yo creo que más las reglas europeas y de cada país están más montadas para financiar y para sostener una supuesta industria que para financiar películas en concreto. Y esto tiene que ver con una enorme dificultad que un coproductor minoritario de una película tiene en encontrar forma de poder gastar el dinero según las necesidades de esa película. Muy rápido caemos en una serie de obligaciones que básicamente nos fuerzan a poner el dinero en cosas que ni siquiera estaban en el proyecto inicial o que ni siquiera necesitábamos hacerlas de esa manera. Entonces hay algo de producción creativa que tiene que hacerse aquí dentro de cómo de no dejarse comer por estas reglas y tampoco dejar de acceder a ellas.
Solo para, just to Because I think further on we come to this point. Just could you in short time explain with which countries do you co-produce and why with these countries? And are you the major or minority co-producer? Is it the same for you? What is the focus of your co-production structure?
Bueno, los dos. Somos mayoritarios en unos y minoritarios en otros, según los proyectos y las necesidades de cada proyecto. Es muy importante pensar si realmente tiene sentido entrar en una coproducción con Francia, con Suiza, con Alemania para este proyecto. Eso realmente, porque es una inversión de tiempo, de energía, es un trabajo inmenso. Entonces yo creo que hay un punto inicial en que, y esto es algo que es muy compartido con los coproductores con quien trabajamos, de enviar un correo, hacer una llamada o un Skype y decir, mira, ¿realmente vale la pena entrar en esto? O al final lo que vamos a lograr nos va a pedir más de lo que podemos sacar de ahí. En Portugal siempre ha habido una gran influencia, una gran relación con Francia, con el sistema francés de financiación, con el cine francés. Entonces, el país creo que con el cual tenemos más coproducciones es Francia. Como mayoritarios también con Brasil. Bueno, y minoritarios también, pero en concreto creo que tenemos más con mayoritarios. Y luego hay los acuerdos bilaterales. Hay un programa franco-portugués, Portugal-Brasil, ahora hay Portugal-Italia y Portugal-Alemania. Y hemos producido con todos estos países, creo que los pongo por orden, sería como...
Could you just also introduce a little bit in your work and in your view of the things?
¿Funciona? Sí. Bueno, hola. Somos una productora, bueno, gracias a DOCMA, gracias a este evento. Está bueno también poder aprender de otros colegas productores que vienen de otros países. Somos una productora pequeña, somos solo 2 personas y en realidad empezamos con las películas de mi hermana. Antes teníamos una asociación, bueno, yo trabajaba en un museo de antropología, teníamos una asociación y íbamos financiando un poco cortos de la asociación y montamos la productora con el primer largo de mi hermana. Y en Suiza el sistema de producción es bastante clásico, está como el fondo del ministerio, después hay un fondo regional. Por temas de lengua hay como un fondo de la parte francesa, un fondo de la parte alemana y un fondo de la parte italiana, y la televisión, que son como coproducciones con la televisión. Y en el momento que nosotros empezamos se instauró un sistema en Suiza que a nosotros nos vino muy bien, que es como un fondo automático que tomaba en cuenta el éxito en festivales. Quiero decir que si una película no tomaba en cuenta las taquillas, pero sí el éxito que una película podía tener en festivales. Hay una lista de festivales que son los de clase A y en documental hay como unos cuantos festivales y eso te da como puntos de taquilla, en realidad se está seleccionado. Y si ganas un premio te dobla los puntos. Bueno, todo eso como que alimenta un fondo que tú puedes desbloquear para desarrollar como otras películas. Y nosotros con las 3 primeras películas nos fue muy bien y pudimos como alimentar mucho ese fondo y a partir de ahí empezamos a trabajar más en un sistema de tomar un proyecto, desarrollarlo nosotros con ese fondo, porque después paralelamente como en la parte regional también se incorporó como un sistema que también nos vino bien, que es que si tú invertías parte de ese fondo automático, ellos te daban la misma suma. Entonces como que sacaron la ayuda a desarrollo, pero si como productora invertías, te lo daban automáticamente, digamos, la ayuda. Entonces eso te permite como desarrollar proyectos como sola, bueno, por tu lado, sin tener que financiarlos de una, bueno, buscar un poco la forma y trabajar en el guión, trabajar como salir después más adelante más fuerte con el proyecto. Y nosotros desde que empezamos usamos un poco ese sistema porque, bueno, pensamos que las películas que nos gustan son películas más frágiles, son películas que hay que ir buscando, digamos, el guión, buscar la forma, y así nos da como tiempo para ese tiempo de desarrollo sin tener que depender de ningún tipo de fondo o de financiación selectivo en tu caso. Y también te da como un tiempo para después salir a mercados y salir como a buscar coproductores más fuertes también con el proyecto. ¿Qué más?
How many films do you produce, like in co-production? What is the frequency of your productions?
4 o 5, es como, sí, es que también la coproducción viene como siempre, es como hay que producir primero en su propio país para después salir a coproducir, ¿no? Hablar directamente de coproducción es como un poco complicado porque si no se produce primero en su propio país no sirve para nada salir a coproducir, pero como coproducimos con Francia, bueno, con Argentina, pero sin acuerdos porque no hay acuerdos entre Francia y Argentina, entre Suiza y Argentina, con Francia, con Bélgica.
You also had an experience with, you're the only one of the 4 who produced with Spain, the co-production with Spain.
Con España siempre fueron coproducciones minoritarias. Sí, siempre fueron como producciones minoritarias, con algunos fue mejor y con otras no tanto, como más difícil, con proyectos bastante difíciles de presentar y de financiar, que salían también bastante frágiles desde aquí en el nivel de financiación, entonces es como más difícil convencer tus propias instituciones de aportar dinero a un proyecto que ya sale como muy frágil desde su propio país. Pero bueno, por ejemplo, estamos en coproducción con la última película de Luis López Carrasco y conseguimos un fondo del ministerio y el fondo regional y después en otras, bueno, coproducimos Cabala Caníbal de Daniel Villamediana, pero ella tenía la película lista y era un aporte un poco más, digamos, nos pusimos de acuerdo con Luis Miñarro y cada uno aportó un poco una suma para terminar la película, porque ese fondo automático también se puede invertir en coproducciones minoritarias sin tener que ir al selectivo. Lo que pasa es que para nosotros es más complicado porque, digamos, la ventaja de invertir ese fondo es que después, digamos, apuestas en una peli que piensas que te va como a realimentar el fondo, pero si es minoritaria no toman en cuenta el suceso, el éxito en festivales, entonces ahí como que se complica más porque tiene que ser una película, toman en cuenta solo la taquilla, tiene que ser una película que se estrena en salas, que bueno, es un recorrido más complicado, sobre todo para las pelis que solemos producir.
So do you have a fund? Every production company has like
No, not every. Digamos que tú tienes que haber estrenado una película en un festival de clase A o en un festival de la lista que ellos tienes y eso te da puntos para el fondo. Pero hay productoras que no tienen ese, bueno, que no. ¿Me entiendes?
Yeah, for sure. It depends on the success of a film, exactly. And is the experience with Spain, was it a good experience?
A ver, ahora digamos que se complica más porque en el ministerio pusieron como un sistema nuevo para las coproducciones minoritarias, que es un sistema de puntos, es como un formulario y tú tienes que cumplir ciertos puntos para tener, y es como una contabilidad de puntos y no es selectivo, digamos, si cumples ciertos puntos la ayuda es automática, lo que pasa que en los puntos hay como muchos puntos justamente de si la calidad de financiación en el propio país es buena, de reciprocidad, de cosas que, por ejemplo, con España se vuelve como medio imposible, en el sentido de que, digamos, yo como quise coproducciones como yo minoritaria con España, pero me parece muy difícil ir a aplicar como yo como minoritaria a España, entonces es como que eso ahí se complica bastante.
maybe we can speak of the Spanish situation in respect to co-production later. It's a very complex issue. Let's go to Marco and Italy. Here in Spain we have the impression, we had the impression that in Italy, like 5-6 years ago, or less, 2-3 years ago, everything changed to a fantastic situation. We have 600 million euros for cinema, and it's like, wow, Italy, they did the big step. How is the situation in Italy, and could you speak a bit about your company and your work?
First of all, I mean, you introduced me as a screenwriter, but I started as a slave. So I was a film slave, and I think this is the basic of experience.
You have to put it in your bag.
Absolutely. I brought coffee to a lot of directors, and I think this is really a basic experience for all the people who are here who want to be producers, is to start in a sort of learning process to your career. Only in this way, I think you could move yourself easily in this complex world of what a co-production is. Because first you need to understand exactly what does it mean to produce a film. That is very complex. What does it mean to produce something? What does it mean to own a film? What does it mean to share this property with someone else? So I think this is more or less just a few passages of something that if you want to embark yourself in the difficult path of co-producing something, it's essential. So you have to really study, for example. I always love, sometimes I teach in schools, I always start with a contract, a co-production contract. Because when you study, and you can find a lot of co-production contracts on the internet, maybe they're not the best one, but it could be enough for you to start to understand exactly what does it mean to co-produce. So obviously it's very difficult in just 10 minutes to give you just an overview of how complex that work is. But maybe I think that the most interesting thing for you is how Italy, because I'm here to represent somehow Italy, but maybe also Europe, I don't know. But let's start with Italy. How Italy could maybe help you with your projects, and what could be the technical steps. It's true that the law changed a few years ago, and I think now you can find everything in this website that unfortunately is only in Italian, but it's not so difficult for a Spanish guy to understand Italian. And it's called DG Cinema, and is Director General of Cinema by the Ministry of Culture and whatever, but if you look for Fondo Selettivo Cinema, you find immediately on the website. What is good, and I mean maybe you're not experienced in co-production, but the concept, I think it could be for you very easy to understand that another European country for you could be considered a bridge to bring money to your project. And I think this is really, really important because you can immediately feel, oh my God, so I can find money in Italy for a project that is in Portugal, I can find money in Italy for a film that is in Switzerland, in Germany, or wherever in the world. We have different funds. There is, for example, now we copied more or less what is happening in France, the CNC rules, but a little bit different. And we have the writing, development, production, distribution support. And all these funds are obviously open to European co-productions. Now we have also a new one, this one, minority co-productions. For the writing support, you can apply with a Spanish, Portuguese, whatever project, but you need to have at least a co-writer, Italian co-writer. For all the other supports, you need to have an Italian co-producer. But the project will be everywhere in the world. It's just then a matter of how you're going to spend the money. And but this is the task of the producer, I mean. The point is my project eligible for this kind of support? I immediately say to you, yes, and this is a very important thing that obviously you have to study because there are a lot of small rules in all this, but Italy is really open in this moment for this kind of cooperation with this project in order to gain this reciprocity that Eugenia was talking about before is very important. And now I just move a little bit to Europe,
because what Tiago said, no, it's true that when you go inside also co-production contract, could be really crazy. All the rules, why we have all the rules, what's the sense of all this? Why I spend like 1 year of my life on accountings, why this, why that, why I have to co-produce at the end of the day with Switzerland while I'm shooting my film in Spain? Okay, this is a very good question, but at the same time, what I discovered, I opened my company in 2010, and what I discovered in these years of passion, because when you start a company it's very, very, very difficult to cash flow your company, to cash flow your expenses, and to cash flow your things and things like that. What I discovered is that we are Europeans, and we give, I mean, I'm trying to be very, very simple, but we give to Europe a lot of money, a lot of taxes. And considering that we, as art house producers, we do a culture, I can say we do culture, first of all, we have to consider this as a starting point. With our things, we do culture. I think we have to consider Europe not just like, oh, my film has nothing to do with Switzerland, but my film has to do with Europe. My film has to do with this strange country composed by 32, 35, I don't know exactly, they're changing, and maybe one is going out and things like that. But I think this is a very important approach for us to understand why we should move through this co-production system. And also, there is another very important reason, not just for money reason, because we pay taxes and somehow we want back these taxes, you know, with services and things like that, but also because to share a film with a German producer, with a Portuguese one, with, I don't know, also could be a Brazilian one. I mean, I don't want to be so focused on Europe. In this way, you share a concept of something that is no more connected to just your country, but to a real market. To a real market that is not just composed by money or by stock exchange or things like that, but by cultures. And in this way, adding culture to culture to culture in your film could be one of the most, thrilling experience of your life. We just finished a co-production between New Zealand and Netherlands, and it was really complicated to work with New Zealand people, I have to say, because the film was entirely shot in Tuvalu, that is a very small island in the Pacific that is going to disappear due to the climate change. And what I see after 4 years of passion, because every co-production is true that is very, very long, and sometimes after 2 years you think I'm completely crazy, why I'm here, why I'm that. But what you feel at the end of these 4 years, that you learn a lot doing your film about the cultures of the world where we're living, and at the same time, I think we are doing something for the progress of our small country like Italy, like France, or like whatever, through common problems. So I think this is one of the topics that maybe we need 1 week to think about it, but this is just to give you hope in the sense that, first of all, it has all this is as an economical sense, all this has a cultural sense, and all this make you happy.
Thank you. Very, very. It's like it fills the sense of co-production with a lot of issues which I think are very necessary to think about it and to be aware of it. Heino, you are the one with the most experience in co-production here. You started, we had, I think most of you saw the masterclass in the morning, which was amazingly interesting, and you told us about your company history, about your work, about how you developed your work in co-production. You just finished the film, very important, we saw it yesterday, Aquarela with Kosakowski, with US, American money in a co-production. You're like in this level which assumes the changes of the co-production structure in the world, like with this new player, as you said, Netflix, Amazon, and all of them. First of all, do you films without co-production?
The best co-production is not to have a co-production. Because co-production just makes more work and it is more expensive because you have always double secretaries, production managers, financing managers. You have it always on both sides, so it's definitely something that if you can avoid it, and that's nothing against co-production, but if you can avoid it, then don't do it, because it makes your life more complicated. But unfortunately, we cannot do it, or we cannot miss to do it, because we are not able to finance films out of our own territories anymore, and they have a special kind of budget that is just not available anymore. And I just have to say, if you give an Italian microphone, then he gets passionate. I think we even have to pay more money to Brussels. I am absolutely against it, but still, of course, we have the problem of we are not one culture. It's not the case. I mean, you see it just with German language film in Austria, for example, never work. You know, these kind of things where you think you're very close to somebody and still there it doesn't work. And this is really what we have to work on to get this European kind of tradition, because that is unfortunately not existing anymore.
What is could you like explain a little bit how is it to produce in Germany a film?
Well, we are the most, I mean, we overrun France already in co-production. We do more than France in international co-production. We are very often the minority partner on bigger films. You just look at the catalog in France. Well, in Cannes maybe not, because it's very French. But if you look at other festivals and look for co-production, you most often see that Germany was somehow involved in. So we give, I think, in the meantime, maybe not more money, but at least we're in more co-productions than the French. I'm doing a lot of minority co-productions where I'm actually, when it comes to, let's call them TV documentaries, where this one spoke a lot of, or I spoke a lot about how to define a documentary, because that's a very complicated thing. But if it's something that somebody comes to me and has a Norwegian project or whatever, then I normally go for a pre-sale to a German channel. That's what I'm normally doing, pre-sale to German channels. Why? It's easy money, it's easy to get. I don't have any obligations to the German funds or whatever, so I just take my percentage and send the rest of the money to my co-producer. That's the easiest form of doing it, and that can be for a lot of countries very lucrative, because German TV can pay up to 120,000 euros for a documentary. So I take my percentage, send the rest there. It's the easiest way.
It's a pre-sales. Pre-sales.
It's not a pre-sale. The TV station sees themselves as a co-producer, so I have to be a co-producer, otherwise the TV station cannot be a co-producer, because I'm doing the contract with the TV station. So I have to have the rights to give it to the TV station. So I'm a co-producer, but I think the French call that a financial co-production. And that is actually what I'm doing very often. Because the problem is there's a lot of funding available in Germany, especially the regional funding for foreign productions. It's very difficult to get the federal ones. That's more for Germany and for German directors or people who live in Germany, like Victor Kosakowski, for example. But when it comes to foreign production, then the regional funds are the more interesting ones. The problem of the regional funds in Germany, they want their money back. And they don't only want their money back, they only want to have an extra on top of it by services that you take in the country. So if they give you 100,000 for your film, they want you to spend 200,000 there. That is very attractive for northern territories. For example, Norway, Sweden, or whatever, they love to come and get the money, because it's cheaper in Germany to produce than in their territories. With territories from the eastern side of Europe, it's really difficult, because when they get 100,000 and have to spend 200,000, means they have to give me 100,000 so that I can spend 200,000 in Germany. When they start to count, then they find out that the same services for this 100,000 they could get, or for this 200,000 in Germany, they can get for 100,000 in Serbia or wherever they are coming from. So it's not very attractive for them. So how I solve this, right now I'm doing a fiction film, I solve it by making a preset of the German television, and then I put on top of the funding that I get, and then I can just say, okay, I'm doing my post-production part, for example, for that film. You don't have to send me any money, I just pay. That's a solution for it, but otherwise it's getting, sometimes, when it's just funding, public funding, film funds, then it's not, often not very attractive. You need the combination with the broadcaster to make it attractive.
Okay. Do you have some experience, and this is a question before we start to the audience, you spoke about it, your connection to Spain, to have co-produced. What is your impression of, because we are speaking about Spain, we are in Spain, and here are a lot of people, producers, who want to co-produce maybe their films. What do you know about Spanish films and the production system here? Is there, or is it for you like a faraway country and you don't know? What is the impression?
Well, I said this morning that Spain is somehow like home for me. And then we talked at noon, and I remember now a situation where I had a film in Europe where I'm teaching. It was a Cuban and very nice project, and they were totally financed, and I always was behind it and said, why are you not starting? What is the problem? And there was a big amount of money that they were waiting from, and that was spent by from the National Film Fund. And as you told me this morning, there's only one decision in 1 year, every year. Then of course now I understand why it didn't work, because they were waiting for the money all the time. And then they first were refused, I think, in the first one, but they still thought that they had to do it another time. So they were waiting for 2 years to get this money from Spain, which is ridiculous. You cannot build up a business on this. Because we are still, I mean, as I said this morning, I have 10 people to feed. It's a business model. I have to pay them every month, and I have to pay my rent. And if I would be relying on a fund that is only making a decision once a year.
In Germany, how many times?
The local ones are doing 4 a year, and the federal ones are doing 3 a year. And that's what you need to plan, because otherwise, I mean, you are stuck all the time. So maybe that's one of the reasons why I never worked with Spain. I don't know.
The curious thing is that here the institutions encourage people to co-produce, just look for co-producer, but it's very difficult for Spanish producers to construct this co-production. This is one of the reasons. Is there any question of... So, I will... Yeah, that's it.
I just have a quick question with, sorry, do you guys feel with all the Netflix and the Amazon and Apple, all the digital platforms, that it's getting easier for you guys to do co-productions and to get pre-sale to these kinds of places? Because I think from the US, it's getting easier for us to kind of do docs. I don't know if that's happening here as much.
I can tell you, about Italy, about that, no? The concept of European co-production, the concept of Euro co-production is not fitting so well with the US exploitation system of films. Is no, there are a lot of small...
Sorry, not to interrupt you, but I mean those entities here, like Netflix in Amsterdam, Netflix in Madrid, Netflix in London, or Amazon. I mean, there are development and programming offices for those platforms here that are looking to do more.
Yes, but also Netflix, Italy, and it's the same. The point is, obviously, it's all in front. It's in front of us. If we talk about co-production, film co-productions, and if our film are mainly supported by the public financing system, at the moment, the system is oriented to the theatrical exploitation of a film. And it is connected also to all the polemics of Cannes or Venice or whatever. I don't want to go inside that. But this is one of the reasons. And then, now I'm working with US people connected with, at the end, the money coming from one of these OTT and whatever. What I see is that the overall concept of European, I'm talking about European co-productions, okay? The overall concept of the ownership of a film in Europe still has something to develop in order to meet the, how can I say, the Anglo-Saxon jurisdiction.
Well, that is very true what you are saying. So the combination out of state funding and these kind of platforms is a very difficult one. It's not easy. I did now 2 of them with American companies. I spoke a lot this morning about it, so you were obviously there.
Sorry.
Sorry. But it is really difficult in the moment, but it's of course very simple when you make a Netflix original. That's not a problem because you get 100% finance. But you cannot provide that anymore with European money, then it's getting difficult. That is what you said, because I'm not a producer then anymore. For the European funds, I would be something like a line producer. Because 100% of the rights belong to Netflix. And if I don't have rights, then they cannot support me. So that is actually really a problem. But of course you can also make co-productions then.
Sorry, but Netflix normally they give up to 70%. Netflix originals are only out of the US, I believe, and the other way they produce is by giving up to 70%.
Yeah, that's something that is working. That is working.
I feel like if it's a shared percentage, then it's easier to kind of navigate that.
But it means also, I'm just in the middle of an American distributor investing in a film and buying, and I'm just in the middle of all these questions right now. When you are still a producer, when you can apply in your home territory, for example, when my fund still wants to recoup, so what is still my territory where I can recoup out? American contracts are sometimes very hard for us, leaving us a chance to recoup in the end. And then you have to see that the whole funding in Europe has a reason why it was built up. And that was because we didn't have European films anymore because the Americans were taking over our cinemas in the 70s, and that was when it started. Film funding in Europe, it was a movement against American films. And now the combination that we are getting money to invest, get money from America to make films together with public money is of course a little bit critical. Depends in the end where the rights end. And that is exactly the problem that we have when we are doing contracts with American companies at the moment, that we don't have a realistic chance to recoup out of it. That's the main problem. Because our funds are getting a little bit weird when they see that they invest in films that are European, but the money, if money comes back, will be in the pockets of American companies. So this is something which is the trick in the moment, how to deal with these companies and how to make contracts with them. It's tricky.
Okay.
But as I said this morning, it's totally changing our system in the moment. The American, it changed already. And I said this morning it was coming up as Netflix. I was from an American, he told me later after, he said it was already before in America, it was coming out of HBO already. But this didn't come over to us. Since Netflix is there, it's really changing. And we have a strong, I think, wish also from the American side now to invest into big documentaries. It's big documentaries. It's of course documentaries with budgets that are very high. So I'm seeing a little bit what you were saying, the translation was, I understood that. Even I'm coming from West Germany, where I was trained as a Marxist. And I think that if you put in money into something, in the end, it will also be better than if you are not putting so much money into it. Creativity is nice, but what makes a documentary? A documentary is based on time. Time of people who work on documentaries, and time is also money. Otherwise you will not be able to pay your rent anymore. So what we need are higher budgets, and this is what I'm seeing in the moment is really changing. It did not really come too much to Europe in the moment, but it is on the way there. And at least I see it with my company, but I know also some other people in Germany who are working now with American companies together. I'm doing now my 5th film, I think. And I think this is a very interesting way to bring documentaries on the market and also have a chance in cinema.
You mentioned the creativity. Let's go back to what brings you to produce a film, to make a co-production? What are the subjects, the people, the issues? What brings the decision to say this is a film worth to co-produce it? This is something we can bring to Europe to convince other production companies to step in. Why do you? It is a question to everybody of you. Why do you? How does it work? How is the decision?
As a co-production?
As a co-production, exactly. No, because yeah, start with production, but we are speaking about co-production. It's not the same to produce a film with the view of more countries, maybe, or it's the same for you. It's just a decision to get more money, or what is what you see in a project to decide I will do this project?
Como mayoritarios es como que es una cuestión que viene como mucho más tarde. Bueno, nosotros como, digamos que primero se produce la película en su propio país, como en pequeño equipo, nosotros es como lo que dice él, también es una cuestión de tiempo. Como tenemos esa posibilidad de desarrollar con un fondo propio, en general a veces estamos 2 años trabajando con el director antes de aplicar a un fondo selectivo, pero no pasa nada porque tenemos ese fondo automático que nos permite hacer ese. Y nunca salimos a buscar coproducción antes de tener como una financiación ya bastante firme en tu propio país, porque tienes que salir un poco fuerte, porque si no es como para poder también proteger tu proyecto y defenderlo también, y defender como el equipo pequeño que empezó a desarrollar el proyecto durante mucho tiempo. Bueno, es un poco, ¿se entiende? Y intentar no hacer coproducción, no ir a buscar países que son antinaturales para la coproducción, es como siempre es un poco lo que decía él también, es como las coproducciones al final complica todo más, y si uno las necesita no hay que hacerlas. Nosotros hicimos como 2 coproducciones con Argentina y nunca sumamos otro país porque son 2 países fuertes, con el dinero de Suiza y el dinero de Argentina podíamos financiar la película. Entonces era como, todo el mundo nos decía, ¿por qué no aplicáis a Ibermedia? Es que no lo necesito y voy a perder tiempo y voy a perder energía, y es como, estamos bien así, no es necesario sumar otro socio, sumar un socio español que al final lo que aporta es muy poco dinero y va a ser toda una complicación administrativa. Bueno, intentar buscar coproducciones lo más naturales posible. Y bueno, no sé, por ejemplo ahora vamos a rodar otra película en Argentina y obtuvimos l'avance sur recette du CNC en Francia porque el guión tenía más del 60%, porque en Francia para aplicar, sí, tiene que estar hablado en francés, bueno, más del 50% tiene que estar hablado en francés, y el guión en el momento de aplicar tenía casi el 70% de francés, entonces dijimos, bueno, vamos a aplicar. Y los actores argentinos son no profesionales, y resulta que está costando mucho encontrar no profesionales que hablen francés para llegar a lo que está escrito en francés. Entonces estamos ahora contando palabras en francés porque obtuvimos el fondo y tenemos que, es como esas cosas ridículas que es como que decís, ¿por qué me metí en esto? ¿No? Y ahora estamos como buscando casting que entre dentro del esquema de coproducción porque ya es como que estamos muy adelante. Es como, bueno, y después como nosotros como minoritarios es...
¿Te llegan proyectos, muchos, pocos?
Muchos, pocos, no sé, es relativo, no sé.
Pero puedes decidir.
Sí, claro, hay que decidir, y en general es como que no somos muy buenos estrategos para esto, es como que nos ponemos en proyectos más porque nos gusta la persona, porque tenemos ganas de ayudar, que porque realmente pienses que esto va a aportar a la productora, ¿no? Un poco porque ese es un buen plan estratégico para la productora. En eso no somos muy buenos, hay que decirlo. Y bueno, a veces hicimos 2 coproducciones nosotros como minoritarios con Francia, donde fue bien, obtuvimos como todos los fondos posibles. Una coproducción con la televisión suiza, ya aplicamos a Eurimage, y después con España hicimos la sustancia. Bueno, cada película fue como esquemas diferentes. Con La Substancia de Luis Galter, en realidad habíamos empezado a trabajar en una ficción, en un momento el proyecto, digamos acá desde España, no salía, y él empezó, como ese proyecto al final lo abandonó y empezó a trabajar en un documental que fue más pequeño, entonces como que aportamos como fondos propios, pero en realidad no conseguimos fondos selectivos. Con la de Luis López Carrasco sí conseguimos fondos selectivos, con la de Daniel Villamellana fue también más, la película ya estaba hecha y fue un pequeño aporte propio, como depende, no sé. Pero es más por conexiones, por gente que vas conociendo y dices, bueno, tengo ganas de entrar o tengo ganas de intentar ayudar, a ver qué puedo aportar.
¿Y cómo se busca un coproductor? ¿Tienes una idea? Esa es una pregunta para todos. Tienes un proyecto, tienes un director, una directora, necesitamos dinero de otro país. ¿Cómo se busca? ¿Qué métodos tenéis y qué foros?
In the last years,
I speak in Spanish, I'm sorry. It's like...
In the last years, I think Europe put a lot of money on these co-production forums and all these moments during the years in Europe. Yeah, the most important maybe is the Berlinale market, where they have you can apply in different shape to a sort of selection of your project in order to attract investors, co-producers, whatever. And anyhow, apart Berlinale, I think that at least we have another 10 very important markets in Europe where you can go with your project just to meet co-producers.
Where?
You have Cinemark in Rome. Depends also on your film, if it's a documentary or if it's a hybrid or if it's a fiction or if it's TV or if it's whatever. And for example, now there is the Mia in Rome. That I think it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But I saw it really growing in the last 2-3 years, and now there are a lot of people coming there now in October. There is the IDFA for documentary in Amsterdam, there is the Berlinale, there is the Rotterdam. Obviously there is Cannes, that is a very important moment for all of us for different reasons. There is for smaller projects. I can give you the Venice Midwest in Trieste is very good, and is a very good bridge for Eastern countries, at least from Italy. Then you have Sheffield in England. I mean, but just there are dozens of it. If you look at on the internet, you'll find different. Obviously, it's very important that you start in a very serious way when you're on the web, if the forum, the production forum, or the work in progress, because you know there are co-production forums and work in progress, let's say, forums. The co-production is where you meet other co-producer in a starting stage, like when you have the idea, the director, and so on, whatever. While the work in progress, maybe you decided to shoot your film with your own money, so you already have, I don't know, half of the rough materials done, and it's a very important moment because we propose these rough materials to investors, distributors, co-producer, and wherever. For example, in Carlo Vivari, there is a very good work in progress section in Thessaloniki, in Les Arcs. I mean, there are really go on the web, and I don't know if you have an aggregator for this kind of news in Spain, but you could easily get your information looking on the web to English research and so on.
Other questions, preguntas? Oh, sorry.
No, más o menos iba a repetir cosas que habían sido dichas ya. Pero muy importante lo que Günter decía, que si no necesitamos una coproducción, pues no entrar en ella. Porque o sea, el sentido de esto, como decía Eugenia, primero hay que financiar dentro, porque si no voy a coproducir fuera, conseguir dinero fuera. Si el dinero que tengo dentro es suficiente, pues no entrar creo que entramos cuando necesitamos abrir el proyecto a otras posibilidades fuera, porque con las que tenemos no llegamos. Y ahí creo que se encuentra con algo que Marco decía, que es buscar desde dentro del proyecto, o sea, los puentes obvios con países o con productores en específico que conocemos, y ahí va por afinidades o por lo que han hecho antes, porque preguntabas cómo buscar un coproductor. Y sí que hay una cierta obsesión del networking y hay foros, no sé qué, pero hay que sentir que porque va a ser un compañero de trabajo, o sea, no es durante 4 o 5 años, o sea, y va a entrar a pensar tu película, que va a ser nuestra película a partir de ahí. Entonces, tiene que esto ser un diálogo a lo cual pones ganas también y que sientes que puede aportar cosas al proyecto. Si hay, por ejemplo, estoy en una película, un largo de ficción en que estamos ahora más o menos con 5 países, que es una pesadilla logística y financiera. Francia, Alemania, Rumanía y Brasil y Portugal. Bueno, y montar esto a nivel logístico es para matarse, para poder vivir.
¿Os veis alguna vez o es solo...?
No, voy a intentar provocar un encuentro a final de año, pero bueno, es un poco también lo que decía Marco. Sí, he ido a Cannes este año porque es la forma de encontrarme con estas personas, porque todos están ahí, entonces vas de una reunión a otra. Pero estas relaciones, claro, que van impulsionadas porque hay un acuerdo bilateral del Instituto Portugués con ANSI en Brasil o con CNC en Francia, pero también porque hay dentro del guión razones que sostienen una relación con Brasil. Porque claro, también en ANSI quien va a ver el proyecto busca esto, o sea, no es algo que tiene que tener sentido y no es solo no somos como financieros intentando mover el dinero de una bolsa a otra.
Steady question, please.
Sí, yo quería preguntar. Sí, ahora que estaba hablando del work in progress, ¿no? Por ejemplo, digamos que tenemos una película que está ya rodada, no está cerrado todavía el montaje de imagen, está muy avanzado, digamos un primer corte, ¿no? Pero no es un rough cut. A veces los work in progress, normalmente los premios son ya para proyectos que están con la imagen más cerrada, ¿no? Pues son premios de sonido, de color, etc. En vuestros países, entrar con un proyecto en este estado, ¿es factible conseguir fondos locales? Porque tengo entendido que en Suiza y Francia entran al principio de un proyecto, no suelen entrar, o los fondos no se aplican para proyectos que están como a un pie entre montaje y postproducción.
En Portugal es posible, sí. Hay una ayuda a la finalización y podemos presentarnos con un proyecto, bueno, justamente buscan rough cuts y visionan y hay algún dinero para terminar películas.
Sí, y en Suiza hace unos años cambiaron la ley para los documentales y puedes aplicar habiendo empezado el rodaje, cosa que en ficción no puedes. Entonces a veces pasa mucho como que, sobre todo en documental, que a veces el guión no está muy fijo, se va a buscar un poquito, bueno, aplicamos después del rodaje en realidad, como que escribimos un guión a partir del material, entonces sí, también puede ser.
No, in Italy, it's not possible from an official point of view, but we are also creative people, so if I mean, no, in the sense that it really depends on the kind of project, on who you are, your professional profile, your track records, and whatever. Obviously, if there is a rough cut by film vendors, it's completely different than a rough cut from a first feature director, and so on. So, but from a legal, let's say, from the law point of view, the selective support is not open to post-production, just post-production. But in a lot of these work in progress things that you see in the world, there is not just the world of color or of sound or whatever. Sometimes there are also money. Like if you see on the Image lab project, support is like the world is 50,000, and so maybe for a small project. And I saw the awarded also to very small project because it's an award for that reason. Sometimes it could be like essential to maybe do the film just with the money from your Image. So, and there are also other awards like that, also in US and also in other places.
That is not a available rough cut money also has to do with legal problems. It's the same thing as you're only allowed to start to produce the film when you're financed, and you're not allowed to produce the film normally before. There are all these regulations which you find everywhere. By the way, that's also a big problem with working together with the US, because the idea of financing the film in the US is totally different. They finance the development, they finance the production, they finance the post-production, and they finance the distribution, and that all one step after the other, which is totally impossible in Europe, because in Europe you have to have your money in place before you normally start. Of course, we know all that there are way around it, and you can do something and say that was research, or you can say that. That's all possible, but the rule is you are only allowed to start filming in the moment you have your financing together. That's the first rule. And this is something that doesn't fit at all together with the American system. So this is also one of the points where it's always getting difficult.
What does a Spanish producer need before he can come to your companies and propose a project? What does they have to bring with them? Is it enough to have an idea? Is it enough to have a script? Or do they already have to have money? Or some decision of a broadcaster or something? Or could you enter in a Spanish project just because you're interested in this project?
Yeah, of course. If it's interesting enough, of course I could do it. It depends on what they want, how much they want. If it's just for German television, for example, I only have to bring money from German television, yeah, of course. They don't ask for if they have money from Spain already. Or they are not interested in financial show questions. They just want something to broadcast. So that is something I could easily do. But if you go really on a bigger project where you have to bring funds and things, then it's like I said this morning, of course it's a lot better if you, as the person who creates the project, has already something in the bag. Of course.
But you would not co-produce with somebody who does not bring money in.
Well, then it's not really a co-production, then it's more a question of how I can integrate maybe them as a kind of author, and they can get money from the recoupment or whatever. You can find tricks around that. But if they say to me very clearly, this is an interesting project, you like it, okay, let's do it, but I will not bring a penny, then it's not a co-production. Yeah. There's something else, but that's possible. I also did that already. It can work.
What can I say as an advice is, when you approach a producer, try to offer just 30 seconds, no more than that, to put yourself in the producer clothes. I mean, we are not targets. I mean, if it doesn't work, you need to know the rules. You need to know how does it work exactly. That's why you need to study, for example, a contract. That's why you need to seriously study internet. You have this tool today that is really incredible, where you can find more or less everything you need. And the first thing that when someone approaches me, is like to understand if he knows my job. This is I think this is at least we can start talking about something. And then also the fact that it was very fun, because I did some time ago like a sort of class on how to approach a producer, and it's very fun because the point is the famous, you know what is the elevator pitch is, more or less. Also, if it's quite American thing, but there is something that is really true, because you know, every day I receive, and I have a very small company, I receive 30 projects each day, and obviously I have no time to read. Maybe I just read if someone
Italian or also international projects?
International and Italian for co-production, and tomorrow I really receive a lot of projects, many of all of us. And the only project that I read is project where maybe there is a friend of mine who say, oh Marco, why don't you read this guy? Why don't you meet this guy? Oh, I want to, this French producer, I work with them, they're very nice, why don't you talk with them just for 5 minutes? And it's the same when I approach other people. So this is really important for you in order to avoid the feeling, oh, they don't understand me, or my project is bad, or my project is good. It's not about that. It's really, from that point of view, it's really a job. And I think it is really important. And yes, the idea is important, but I think that the 90% is the rest around the idea. It is the way you know the job, the way what you have to do while talking with someone in order to create a relation. Because we as co-producers, we create a relation about financing the film, but with a director, with a screenwriter and whatever, we need also to create a relation, and it's not about the project, it's about something else.
But if somebody wants to co-produce with you,
yeah.
The way is not to send you an email and...
No.
What is the way?
No. I think the best way is to find a connection. I mean, it could be like a networking thing, it could be... I am from Sicily, so maybe that could be the wrong way, but I mean, the point is, I don't know, through DOCMA here, no? Okay, so, you know, I'm a friend, also if it's not true, sometimes could work. I'm a very good friend of Andrea and whatever, why don't you read my project? Because I have to, I mean, you have to play with connections. You have to play with, this is my feeling, but maybe because I don't have an office just to read projects and to an editorial line and so ever, we are just 5 in our company and we are completely submerged of things to do every day. And so that's it, but I think if I have to give an advice, that's it, to create an interest on the other. And obviously, if, I don't know, if you have the images of Donald Trump killing, I don't know, then obviously that's my interest immediately, obviously, but I think it's not so common. I think.
To make a co-production, and Trevor knows that I'm always saying that in Europe again. Never ever do a co-production with somebody you don't know. This is, or you had it on the phone or something like this. This is absolutely murderous because we don't have to forget that a normal co-production normally takes 3 years of your life. 1 year to get it all started, 1 year to do it, and 1 year for the distribution. So you have 3 years that you have to work together with somebody. And if you don't like them, it's a nightmare. It's an absolutely nightmare, and sometimes you only find it out, I mean, when you met them by the telephone. You find it out already when you met them the first time in your life, but maybe then you signed already your co-production contract. So better meet the people. And I always said, get drunk with them.
Please.
Hola, quería hacer 2 questions, one for you. To understand a bit the difference how TV in Spain finances different projects and how they are financed in Germany, could you tell us a bit the requests that when they give you 120,000, what do you have to give back? Or whatever money, what amount of money they give you, what do you have to give back to them?
Okay, that's normally, they call it co-production in Germany, but it isn't really, it's more or less a pre-sale. They just call it co-production because they want to be in the editing room and want to have the permission to say something. That's the main reason why they call it co-production. In fact, it's pre-sale. And how much money you get depends totally on the slot. So more or less we are now doing creative documentaries only with acting. So it depends on the slot. If it's a 9-minute slot, you get 120, 130,000 euros. Otherwise, you get for 1 hour something around 70 to 80,000. That's more or less what it is. And I think the difference to Spain, I'm not Spanish, I didn't work with Spain, so I don't know too much about it. But I think the main difference is that the Spanish TV is very much focused on Spanish themes. And that is probably the reason why it's very hard to go out with these kind of themes then to a national market. Because I think the main question is, what is interesting for the international market? Because we never spoke about that. I mean, what is the point? Why should somebody else from a different country with a different language step into your film? So what makes a project universal? And that is,
the first thing that people overthink is, oh, it's a subject. Immigration. Immigration is a subject that is interested now for everybody. In fact, it is. It's a very national thing in a way, because the people in Norway, when they make a film about immigration in Norway, they are doing a film about the Pakistanis that they have there. The Germans are doing the film about the Turkish people that are coming. Just to give, everybody has a special view on it, and that makes it very difficult to sell these films with the big subjects to internationally. It hardly works. What actually is selling, and I mean, just, I'm not talking now about Aquarella or something like that, but that is very special because it's also a special director. But when I look at the films that I have now, and I have 4 films or 5 films actually, on the last tour for the European Film Award, and the most successful one of that is Honeyland. Honeyland is a film about a Macedonian beekeeper. So it's a very, very small story, but it's selling to the whole world at the moment, because it's a story that is fascinating, it's beautiful, and it has a subject, and that subject is working in the whole world. It's a very small story, a very, very small story. And that is actually what is selling, not the big subject. The big subjects are normally not working because everybody has his special view on it and has his special focus on it. So I think that is something you have to have in mind when you think about international stories.
So, sorry, for what I understood, they go into the creative part of the film.
No, no.
Also,
No, the people that are working in Arte, for example, or in all the other channels that are involved in it, they are normally very, very good people. So they know why they choose you and the director to do this film, they know what they can expect, and they are very productive in giving their comments. It's not, and I'm doing this job now for 30 years, I never had the situation where a commission editor said, this we cannot do.
So
Never.
they have the right to show the film first, or?
That depends on what it is. If cinema money is involved in it, then they have to wait for 18 months in Germany, for 24 months I think in France. There's the holdback period. More or less, it's of course something totally different when you make commission program. But I'm not talking about that because I hardly do that. I more or less never do commission project. So commission project in the sense that they are paying 100% and I just have to deliver. That's normally not what I'm doing. So I'm always co-producing. Sometimes in my films they are very small partners. So in that film here, what we saw yesterday night, they gave 120,000 euros and the film had a budget of 2.1. So they're very small partners and they know that. They are not stupid, they know their role in it. We are in Germany, not the BBC. BBC is different. They can give you so little, but still have the feeling that they are the ones who have to decide. But that's not in Germany. In France, I think it's a little bit more complicated. I think they see their role as commission editors a little bit higher. But also they are very productive. And I never had bad experience out of that, absolutely not. They know where they are in the whole process. Sometimes it happens, of course, that they say, look, it isn't really fit now for my slot anymore. Can we go back to the 52-minute version, maybe? And can we make a 52-minute version? That happened already 1 or 2 times, and we understood that very well. And as we wanted to do a 52-minute version anyway, then we delivered that. It happened 2 or 3 times. Not more.
No, y la otra pregunta, perdona, que era para Eugenia. Me parecía muy interesante el fondo del que has hablado, pero si podrías explicarnos un poquito más en detalle, porque lo que he entendido es que si vas a un festival de Serie A, por ejemplo, y recibes un premio, hay un fondo que te es reservado, que es como una especie de fondo para empezar un proyecto de desarrollo, una cantidad determinada por cada premio, por ejemplo, en Cannes 15.000 euros los tienes ahí reservados para empezar tu siguiente proyecto, ¿o cómo funciona un poco?
Sí, funciona más o menos así. Es que históricamente siempre hubo un fondo que estaba más ligado a la taquilla, como que si, digamos, hacías más de 10.000 entradas y recibías como, según la cantidad de espectadores que ganabas, tenías como su fondo, te alimentaba ese fondo automático. Y ahora, digamos, desde hace sí, bueno, unos años, incorporaron los festivales, que es una lista, son bueno, los festivales de clase A y después hay como algunos otros festivales, y si estás seleccionado en uno de esos festivales, te da como puntos, que son puntos que pueden venir solo del festival o se pueden sumar a la taquilla si tú también tienes espectadores, son como puntos. Después hay una especie de cálculo que hacen a fin de año con todos los puntos que te dan y eso se transforma en dinero, no sé si es pero si estás seleccionado te da puntos, si ganas un premio te dobla los puntos, es como, bueno, un poco, puedes acumular puntos de diferentes festivales, porque si vas a 3 festivales de clase A, todo eso como son puntos. Es un fondo que desbloqueas para el desarrollo de cualquier proyecto que tengas tú de la productora, no está ligado a un director, es un fondo de la productora.
This also in Italy and in France. It's an automatic support.
Lo que está bueno en Suiza también es que en realidad si tú, justamente si inviertes ese fondo en una película, el fondo regional no te hace pasar a selectivo y te da la misma suma. Si tú inviertes 20.000 euros en una película, recibes 20.000 de su fondo regional y ya tienes 40.000 para ir desarrollando. Pero la idea es invertir en películas que te van a seguir como... No, se acaba.
Hola, buenas tardes. Gracias por venir, gracias a DOCMA por hacer este encuentro que es muy útil para mí, por ejemplo, porque estoy empezando a producir cine ahora. Llevamos mucho tiempo haciendo comunicación para ONGs y este tipo de cosas y nos hemos encontrado con algunos proyectos que nos dan ganas de meternos en estas cuestiones del cine. A ver, hoy me pasó algo que me gustaría compartir con ustedes y ver su opinión, porque estamos buscando coproductores para hacer una película que habla sobre menores que viven en centros de acogida, o sea, son chicos migrantes que están tutelados por el Estado español. Entonces tenemos una muy buena relación con ellos, ya hemos hecho un videoclip, ellos hacen trabajos de danza, y están tratando de no ser discriminados, ¿no? ante la sociedad y construirse una identidad un poco más saludable. Bueno, la Consejería del Menor está por el proyecto, pero quieren ver, o sea, lo van a aprobar, van a dar el permiso final si ven el corte final. Entonces la pregunta es, ¿alguno de ustedes se metería en una coproducción en la que hasta no ver el corte final no sabemos qué tipo de película podemos tener? O sea, yo confío mucho en la visión nuestra, en la visión de la directora, y creo que siempre vamos a hacer la película que los chicos se merecen, pero tenemos atrás un aparato político que no sabemos acá en 2 o 3 o 4 años qué puede suceder, quiénes van a ser y qué intereses van a tener. Bueno, muchas gracias.
Depende de la suma.
Bueno, a ver, se trata de hacer la película de una manera, o sea, no necesitamos grandes sumas de dinero, solamente necesitamos que el director, que el cámara y que toda esa gente vaya cobrando para poder ir a grabar a Melilla, que es donde es lo que está sucediendo. Aparte tenemos otra cuestión que es interesante. Estos chicos, cuando cumplen 18 años, ya cumplen de su imagen. Entonces, nuestra intención es seguirles. En caso de que no podamos contar con toda esa parte rodada de los chicos que no tienen 18 años, creo que las historias de los que tienen 18 años en adelante pueden ser muy buenas también. Entonces, al final, digo, la película la seguiría llevando y... O sea, esa es una estrategia que tengo ahora, hoy. Pero claro, o sea, poder tener esa sensación del niño que está viviendo en ese momento en un centro de menores, a mí me parece realmente, sobre todo los problemas de migración que hay en Europa y en todo el mundo, para poder visibilizar este tipo de situaciones de niños, porque son niños, se mezcla mucho el tema de la migración, el racismo y todo esto, pero acá estamos hablando de chicos, ¿no? Así que bueno, un poco la pregunta es esa, o sea, ¿te meterías en este lío? Yo ya estoy metida, pero ¿te meterías en este lío pensando en que que cuando tengas un corte que a ti te gusta, va a venir la administración y te va a hacer sacar alguna cosa, o te va a querer cambiar igual una parte importante de la...
Pero depende si es la única fuente de financiación de la película también, ¿no? No sé. Bueno, si es la única fuente, a lo mejor hay que plantear la película ya de otra manera.
No tengo ninguna fuente de financiación ahora. Estoy buscando, estoy yendo a foros, empezamos ahora. Lo que está pasando es que esta gente tiene la tutela de esos chicos.
Bueno, yo creo
O sea, es como si a tu hijo vos ahora firmás por tu hijo hacer una película que, digamos, no lo puedes enganchar, que esa imagen de él esté toda su vida, o sea, tiene que haber alguien, un padre, alguien que avale eso. En este caso, el padre es el Estado.
Bueno, yo creo que aquí ya entramos en el tema de un pitching, this sounds like a pitching for a film.
Perdón, no quise hacer eso. A mí lo que me parecía interesante es ver desde el punto de vista de los productores europeos, que más o menos siento que tienen algo de sensibilidad en este tipo de cuestiones, o por lo menos por lo que estuve viendo en lo que hacen ellos, es si se puede hacer una película en la que el permiso, o sea, si a ellos les interesaría hacer una película en la que el permiso de derechos de imagen todavía no lo tienes, ¿no? Y no lo vas a tener del todo. Gracias, perdón.
Es otro producto, ¿no? Es como... Es otro producto, es como tienen que ver ustedes si les interesa hacer ese tipo de producto o no.
Bueno, vamos a seguir. Another question.
Yo quería hacer una pregunta breve. ¿Hasta qué punto la coproducción es útil para luego la distribución y la visibilidad de las películas? Es decir, ¿hasta qué punto tiene una repercusión? Consideran, porque a mí me parece que está muy bien la creación de todas las películas, pero hay un déficit muchas veces en el cine documental creativo, etcétera, y luego la visibilización de esas películas, más allá del hecho de los festivales. Es decir, si consideran que la coproducción es útil para que las películas realmente se puedan ver y tengan mucha más visibilidad.
From my point of view, it's really useful. I mean, because first of all, you have obligations. When you co-produce, you have obligations from your own country regarding distribution and obligations on the other country. So at least it's something. Because normally, maybe you produce the film by yourself, you still have a lot of difficulties to show the film in your own country. So imagine for a moment in France, in Germany, whatever. While when it's a production, at least we have a partner in their own country, and at the same time there are different supports for European distribution and international distribution in different countries. Then obviously it's very important sales agent, and when it's a production, maybe a sales has more chance to get in touch with your project, and so I think it's very important, and maybe it could be interesting also the Netflix thing about that, because a lot of sales, let's say some sales, sometimes they receive offers with good money from Netflix or from Amazon and from these people, and normally what it happens is that obviously they call us as producers of the film, and it happened to me like 2 times, and it's always the same. Like, we received this amount of money. Oh, yes, it's a good amount of money. But Marco, you know that if we give the film to them, your film is going to disappear. And this is also a theme that we have to think about. It's true that normally when I go to Netflix, my film on Netflix is to look for a film on Netflix. It's not a Netflix film. It's like I pass 1 hour looking for a film, and at the end I'm so tired that I don't see the film. And this is just the beginning of something that is happening. And maybe, yes, we could talk a week about all the things that are complaining because we are producing too much films and not with the right budget, and it's a very nice topic to talk about, but it's very, very long. There are very different approaches on all this. And, but anyhow, from my point of view, what I see is that co-production really, really helps to show your film in different countries.
Sí, totalmente de acuerdo. O sea, tener un parcero en otro país que va a luchar por la distribución, por lo menos en su país, de esa película, es tan difícil desde Portugal, en nuestro caso, distribuir, encontrar distribuidores, y además con las películas que hacemos, que cada vez menos encuentran lugar en los circuitos de distribución. Lo que buscamos es eso, es tener a alguien que cuide de encontrar un circuito, de inventarse un circuito que pueda funcionar para esa película. Pero hacer esto desde Portugal se puede hacer con 1, 2, 3, con los contactos que tenemos, pero si de repente a eso se suma que el coproductor en Brasil lo hace, que el francés también, porque además los derechos de cada país pertenecen a ese coproductor, sí, claro que es un aporte interesante.
The question is also regarding this point, which kind of films do work? You have really successful films. What do you think in the European market, which characteristic does a film have to work? Or is it impossible, it's just, it has to be good? Or what sells, what do the broadcasting companies need?
Talk about Oneland, and I think it could be considered a success. I don't know exactly the amount of money it's done, but it's happy, so I suppose it's a successful example. From my point of view, I don't know, I'm not the kind of producer who is thinking too much, unfortunately, maybe, I don't know, who's thinking too much to the market when he decides to do a film or not.
It's also for festivals, which kind of films?
Yes, but
work?
also today I really have I'm not so happy about the festival market. Because that's not a real audience. It's people who are sometimes are part of the industry or who have money to go to a festival, and so it's not. I don't know. I'm not feel so at ease with the festival, with the concept of the market. Oh, you have the festival composed by 100 markets. You have a market composed of 100 festivals. Is it true? Because normally our film, my small films have always a lot of festival and fees from festival and things like that. But on the other side, to think about what is the market today, I'm just confused, I have to say the truth. And what can I say is the film that I love. The film that I love when I go to a cinema, the film that I'm looking. I know there is this small film that now won Venice's film by Franco Maresco, who's an Italian director. And this is it's an hybrid film, and this is the kind of films that I'm looking for in my life, and this is my process. It's not about when I start to think. Sometimes I follow the market. I try to follow the market rules, and it was a completely disaster.
Porque van cambiando también.
Yes, it's changing very fast, and at the same time, I don't know. Yes, what I could say about Oneland, that it's about bees somehow, and bees is always. Maybe the film is not really about bees, but I think that bees is to me something that really attracts people. Maybe it's important as a producer to study the successful cases. Yes, this is very important. But I don't know if after all the studies you have like a pattern to say, oh, this film is going to be a success, or it's not. I want to do this film because is going to be a success. I don't know, maybe you can do that for James Bond or whatever, but not for the kind of films that I love.
I just wanted to say something about the festival market. It's true that the festival market is a crazy thing, but it fits into what I said this morning. We are looking, I think, altogether more and more for events. It's in TV and programming like that, and festivals are a little something like that. They have events. People suddenly go. I mean, when you're in Amsterdam, it's just absolutely amazing, and the whole city is suddenly going to watch documentaries for 10 days. And it seems to be, I mean, I see the people who are going into the cinema, they aren't normal people there, at least there in Amsterdam and events like that. Suddenly it is totally hip and sexy to go and watch documentaries. A week later, I mean, I always bring the same example. Thomas Reiser had a film in Berlinale. It is already at that time, it was a long film, not as long as this one, the new one that I have made, but it was already more than 2 hours. So the Berlinale decided the forum to show the film only 2 times, which normally the forum films are shown 3 times or even 4 times sometimes. So there was a first screening, full house. Second screening, full house, and some people who have a pass, who don't need a ticket, were not allowed to go in anymore. People even who had tickets were not. There was a big scandal, everybody was shouting, and immediately the guy who ran the forum came and said, "Oh, we make a server." Same thing with the server. It was sold out, and people were totally crazy, wanted to see the film. 3 weeks later, the film was shown in the same cinema in Berlin as during the festival, and I think we were 3 or 4 people. So what you see is it creates a hype, a festival, and that is what obviously is working, what is not working on a daily basis in the cinema.
Yeah, there is something that is happening also out of the festival. I mean, there is something that I call eventification. I mean, what I see is also in the normal distribution chain. For example, we have this documentary on 30 copies all over Italy. What it happened is that when the director was there presenting the project with an event, sold out. With people out screaming, "Oh yeah!" The day after, 0. Not 1, 0. How is that possible? I think it has to do with this sort of what I call identification process. And that I think it's also could be considered somehow also positive because it means that people are looking for a personal relation. There maybe they're going to be very tired of this Netflix and Amazon amount of materials where they don't have a real connection with what they see, and maybe they want to go back to their old way, to a place where they can talk, where they can meet, where they can and whatever. And from this point of view, what I see is that museums are having in the last 2 years a growth that is incredible. Also, contemporary artists that maybe till a few years ago were completely not successful, and also I think another thing to follow is the success of dance halls and things like that, where the people go to gather and to meet, to dance and to drink and wherever is also that is growing. And I think it's important to analyze all these in order to, also for us when we create a film, they always know, I mean, at least for me, if you want someone who goes out from their home and go in a theater, half an hour of car, spending 20 euros, more or less, on a Saturday, then you have to give them something special. So from one side we have James Bond, we have whatever, we have, and on the other side what can we offer them? So that's the question. And when I see on an end, I see, okay, we're giving them something special. When I see, I don't know, last Pietro Marcello film, I'm talking about the film that I saw in Venice, or okay, we're giving them something special. That doesn't mean that it's going to be a success, but what I feel is that, okay, there is a sense in what we're what I'm trying to do and what you're trying to do, to give people something special. This is not a recipe for success, and it's just a recipe for us to be happy again.
So you're looking always for something special when
Yeah,
you do the project.
but I think you have to give to your audience. You have to create this connection. You have to. We've done a few years ago this film in Qatar about. It's called The Challenge. That it won Locarno Film Festival, and it's a film about falconry in Qatar. It's a documentary. But and it had a very, very incredible festival history. SXSW and New Directors, New Film. Really, a lot of US festival days were packed and so on. And if you see just the trailer on the web or wherever, you can feel that. And that is, I think, we are giving something. We are giving that normally they don't see in television. They don't see on. Unfortunately, today we have this Netflix thing where it's always like a muscular thing about this very US approach. Okay, you're doing something big, we're doing bigger than you. And it is very dangerous somehow. But what I think is that if you're sincere in what you're doing and you really create a connection with this kind of thing that I say, I want to give you something special, then it will never be a matter of money. It will never be a matter, you can have a very small film all shot in Macedonia, and everybody would like to see that film. I think this is still something that, I think this is that's the sign.
Preguntas?
Hola, yo quería saber si en alguno de vuestros países, aparte de ayudas a la producción, hay ayudas para que esas películas que producís se vean.
En Portugal sí hay ayudas a la distribución en cine comercial con taquilla, y hay ayudas a la internacionalización, que tiene que ver con distribución fuera de Portugal y festivales, según una lista de festivales aprobada, con distintos valores según el festival. Estamos clase A y por ahí. Que financian, o sea, dinero que se puede invertir en trabajos que tienen que ver con la finalización o copias o promoción de la película, y que están financiadas en caso de los festivales en 80% y en caso de distribución comercial en 50%. Y distribución comercial internacional es distinto, es un valor por película según el número de salas.
Porque ayer en la mesa de España se hablaba de que además de producir deberíamos tener un apoyo para crear público dentro del propio país.
Sí, bueno, ahí entra otra discusión, pero a nivel de financiación pública hay una parte del presupuesto del Instituto de Cine que va para financiar justamente festivales o otras actividades que se presenten como actividades que para crear público, para enseñar. Pero es poco dinero y no es suficiente para hacer un festival o una muestra.
No, en Suiza es más o menos igual, digamos, hay ayuda a la distribución y bueno, hay ayuda a la distribución para películas suizas. Ahora Suiza quedó como fuera de media, entonces no recibe las ayudas de media para distribución, que es un problema. Y bueno, hay ayudas también a internacionales para festivales, bueno, promoción del festival, presencia, pero aquí también.
In Italy, the support for distribution. Very complex, a lot of rules, but the support. Normally, if you have a distributor, somehow it does all the job. Now today, maybe we have this new thing that is called self-distribution, and where you as producer you can self-distribute your own film, and so you can apply also for these supports. But it's not so easy to move in the distribution world, because anyhow it's going to cost you a lot, the distribution, because you have to pay someone, and then normally if you don't have a success in your hands, it's very difficult. Maybe you have to pay the theaters, or you have to find deals, or you have to pay the directors to go and present the film, or you have to, I mean, there are a lot of expenses, it's true, and it's not so easy if you're not a distributor to handle all this, but you have support from Italy and from Europe.
Bueno, en Suiza antes podías como productor, si distribuías tu propia película, aplicar las ayudas a distribución, cosa que hemos hecho con documentales, que sabes que al final el distribuidor se lleva todo el dinero y que no va a gastar en promoción, entonces tú llamas dentro del país los cines y haces como lo que decían ellos, eventos con el director, y haces un recorrido por el país y sacas como la idea. Pero ahora lo sacaron y tienes que tener como distribuidor sacar un mínimo de 3 o 4 películas por año, cosa que ya como productor no.
I'm warning to distribute the film yourself. It's too much work and doesn't bring anything. It's, I think, otherwise in Germany we have the same system, or the distributor applies for distribution support. But what I see at the moment, which is maybe not here in Spain and Italy, but is very, very strong in the Anglo-Saxon area, is what they call impact campaigns. And this is something that I absolutely hate, because it is getting more and more that the funds want to see your impact campaign already before you start to produce a film. And I'm always saying that is classical work of a distributor. This is what in former days a distributor did. But now they expect the producers already to do it, even before, and of course there's no money available for that, not as much as you would really need for it. So it's more or less a way to put work from the distributor to the producer.
De las películas, si pudiera distribuirla, entonces es como, claro que no va a aportar nada, o sea, no va a aportar dinero al final, pero la forma de que la película pueda ser vista, o sea, de otra forma no se distribuye. Entonces, entre no enseñarla y quedar con ella, o poder tener un microcircuito de 3 años, 4, durante 2 semanas, pues vamos a decir, lo que intentamos hacer es, como tenemos varias películas, es montar operaciones conjuntas. Por ejemplo, ahora estamos hasta final del año distribuyendo 3 películas, una tras de otra, y montar un equipo mínimo que pueda, bueno, trabajar en la distribución de las 3, sí, tener sesiones especiales con invitados, llevar al director, intentando hacer todo con, bueno, dentro del dinero que podemos acceder, pero del Instituto del Cine. Pero aún así, yo creo que vale la pena hacerlo. Porque también, o sea, los distribuidores comerciales en Portugal van a coger estas películas, las ponen en el shopping center, en medio de todas las otras, y nadie las va a ver. Pero hay una sala o 2, las únicas que quedan independientes, que sí han creado una relación con un público y tienen la confianza de ese público, entonces la gente va a ese cine y a veces no sabe qué va a ver, o sea, va porque, mira, vamos a tal sala el viernes y van a ver las películas. Yo creo que sí que vale la pena.
Varios.
Hola, I was just going to point out what you just mentioned. Please forgive me for what I'm going to say, because you are very important producers, independent producers, but I get the feeling that all these meetings end up talking about money and figures and audience. And I think we have to play in another league than Marvel and Netflix. For years, there's been a cinema in Madrid that have drawn our attention, the Alphaville cinemas that were bought by Golem afterwards, and they had the confidence, and they've been opening our vision for years, showing us movies from whatever, the director from Iran or from Korea or from anywhere, but we knew that they would be showing good cinemas. So I think, please forgive me again, you're not considering that there is a public that is looking to be shown other type of stories, or other type of cinema, and you don't have to create events and compete with Marvel or with Netflix. There is an audience for that. This cinema has been very successful in Madrid, and in fact other cinemas copied their solution, and they settled around them. So there's this part of the town where you go and you see independent movies and you know they're going to be good quality. So please, what do you think about this?
I think it's a lie.
It's a lie.
No, it's a lie. It doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. It is something that we had over all the years, that there were cinemas somewhere that were showing interesting film. But in the end, we have to produce the films, and producing costs money, distribution costs money, and the money was obviously not coming back, because I see too many producers who could not survive, I see too many distributors that cannot survive. So I think what you're explaining is probably a nice example, but is not an economical system that works.
I have a question for you. From a theoretical point of view, I do completely agree.
Yeah, of course.
But I have this example. That is a film that we've done like 2 years ago. It's called Samuni Road, and it was a film that won the major award for documentary in Cannes. And it was distributed in Italy by Cineteca di Bologna, where Cineteca Bologna has very good normally results with their historical film restoration, that they show the classics and whatever, very good results. The film was more or less in all newspapers, it was very well covered by news. We had all stars wherever, awards, and okay. But the results, if the director was not inside the theater presenting the film, I'm not saying zero, but it's almost zero. So the point, how can we attract? My question is, how can we, as producer or as distributor, how can we attract this audience that I do agree, it exists. I don't have doubts about that. It exists and they're starving for films and whatever. But how do we attract these people outside from the identification that I was saying before? What is the result to attract these people? What can we do? I'm ready to do it, but I want to know how. Because newspapers and critics and buzz and Facebook and I don't know, it's not working. So why these people are not going just if the director is there, just because they want to drink a glass of wine. Now I'm cynical and I don't want to be cynical, but it's just because they want to drink a glass of wine and then I don't know, whatever. Why after all that, the second day, zero? This is something that I can't understand, and I'm not talking about New York, I'm talking about also city like Rome, Naples, Milano, Torino, so cities where you don't have so much offer, and so the small things that you have during the week are there. So why the people are not going there and they are just going to see Marvel, if there are some, or major releases, major Italian releases like, I don't know if you know this Italian director, but obviously it could be like Muccino. I don't know if you know this director, but we have a bunch of directors that still have Comencini, that still have good numbers at box office. Obviously we have comedies, that is a completely different, but also the drama. There are people completely also, they are critics just hate these kind of films. The buzz is completely negative, but the numbers are there. Maybe because it's a sort of average kind of film that could attract. I don't know, but talking about the kind of films that I love, that is about more about that, you know, small cinema that is programming film. What I see that today in a city like Rome, the only cinema that still resists to this sort of thing that you're saying is just one, and it was a gym. And when you go to the cinema, it's like humiliating your experience of you from mine, and I'm going to accept it. But from my point of view, is this money that you're bringing to me make me able to attract money? Yes, okay. Then let's see the kind of money that I have at my disposal. I have the MIBAC, that is the selective support, that's done through two different stages. It is writing, development, production, distribution. I have regional funds, so if your film is, we have to shoot your film in Puglia or in Sicily, I know that I have more or less, there you'll find stable regional funds. If you want to shoot your film in, I don't know, Veneto, I know that, oh yes, they're going to open a fund in Veneto and wherever. Then there is, in Italy, the situation of the broadcasters is very simple, because we have just one. So you have to go there, you don't have any other spots. And it's Rai Cinema. And then the distribution money are not so important in Italy because there's not a real market for art house films, but obviously it depends again on the project. Then obviously some of the money could come from the international market, like international sales or a co-production. This is more or less, and then there is this thing of the of private money or a project coming from equity, from investors. But from my point of view, I don't call them investors. Always when I meet this kind of people, you know, I don't have a company, I have a charity organization. This is what I tell them. In order to be, you need to be really, as a producer, you need to talk very frankly. Otherwise, you're not going to sleep well. The point is that you have to say, you're not going to see a penny back from this film. Or maybe we could be really, really lucky, like a bingo, to give you back money. But if you want to be part of this process, if you want to come together with me in Cannes or in Berlin, because this director has these track records, and I know that we could aim to that kind of success. If you want to be part of all this, if you want to be part of defending something that is the kind of things that I'm doing, then come on board and give me whatever you want. Give me. And this is normally how I build the financing structure of the film. Obviously, then there is the co-production factor. Like, can bring in money from other countries, and if you have European countries, you can bring money. If you have at least 2 European countries, then you can apply for a Reimage, or if you're working with a Latin American country, you can apply for Ibermedia. Because now Italy is part of Ibermedia. Also, if we don't speak Spanish or Portuguese, we're part of Ibermedia. And more or less, this is the pattern of the financial structure, more or less. And it's, what is good is that Italy is very, really, go to the website that I told you before, because if, obviously you need an Italian partner, but the public financing system in Italy is open to projects from every part of the world. We finance Polanski, we finance Vasiljevich, Paskalievich. We finance a lot of, I mean, not me, my country finance a lot of good directors coming from all parts of the world. Maybe not big money, but enough to do the film.
One very last question, just one very brief comment. I have to tell that I heard today a very, very poetical image, Marco, when you told that the very last...
And there are different, different kind of tax credit. We have an internal one and an external one. The external one is for investors, the internal one is for us producers. So, for example, now we are doing, and it's quite long, I want to be simple, but Now I'm doing a co-production with Czech Republic, where we have a budget of 2 million, and I'm bringing in an automatic way to the co-production the 30%, so 660, no, sorry, just 600. And 600,000, it's not bad for a production of 2 million. And this is all, it should, also if other people could say, you know, it's automatic, it should work in an automatic way with the new law. But it's something that, so this is a tax credit system. Then you have other different kind of, you have the external tax credit for external investors. At the moment it's blocked, but they say that they're gonna open it again, where more or less if you invest 100,000 on a film, and you put that back. If you as producer, you finish the film. If you finish the film, they give you back between 25% and now they changed the amount. Before it was 30%, now it's 25%, but you should match certain kind of things. So yes, these are the two main, external tax credit and internal tax credit.
Bueno, en Portugal es más o menos, también hay un sistema como el tax credit, que es el cash rebates, que son películas para largos de ficción con más de 500.000 euros. Es un fondo entre el Instituto de Cine y Turismo y ponen 50% sobre la inversión. Pero creo que lo que preguntabas era más reducción de impuestos para quien haga inversiones. Eso no funciona en Portugal. O sea, existe, pero no, para el cine no funciona. O sea, lo que hacen son grandes marcas de cerveza que financian festivales de música o eventos con mucha gente. Nunca ponen dinero en películas.
Obviously, you should spend the money in Italy.
Okay. Well, I saw a company here, a catalog, and it was about tech shelter systems in Europe. And you open that, and there were only advertisements from all these tech shelters. And it started with 20, then it went to 25, 30, 40. So everybody is doing it now, and it goes up to 50%. The highest one I saw in the end was 50. I think that was in Dubai, so not European, but more or less everybody is starting in. I think the only country that doesn't have it right now in Europe is Switzerland, probably. Because it doesn't help. I mean, even if they give you 50%, it's still too expensive to shoot there. And Sweden doesn't have it in the moment, and all other countries have it or have an alternative. The alternative is the German model. The Dutch copied it more or less from the German. That is, it's not a tech shelter, but it is a public fund, but automatically on the spending that you give, and it's filled with, in Germany, with 60 million, for example. In Holland, I think there are 20 or 30 millions in that fund. The French do it, I think, more or less the same way as the Germans. So it's an alternative, because they didn't want to do this tech shelter thing. So they said, the government said, okay, we build up a fund and put money in there and do it. In a way or another, everybody is doing it. And the biggest one was definitely Belgium. They had the biggest possibilities, and they are just under very big stress with that, because there it was up to 45%, 42, 45%. But the bad thing about that, Belgium is a small country, is of course all the labor got really expensive there, because all the big territories came in and wanted to co-produce with Belgium suddenly, and you didn't get any electricians anymore. They wanted to have something like enormous amounts of money. So it's also not always very healthy, these tech shelter schemes.
Okay, I think we have to stop. I just ask you something very difficult. In few words, maybe is it possible to have a last encouraging message, something which not just depends on the money, why we should do co-productions, or what is your future vision, something positive?
In few words. Do films. No, para mí no es nada pesimista esta discusión. O sea, yo hago esto. Y hago esto con placer. Entonces yo creo que eso es, O sea, no es para nada, no, o sea, hacer una película súper... Bueno, es complicado hacer un montón de cosas en la vida, no es tan... O sea, yo solo tengo cosas buenas para compartir, pero no en 2 palabras, tendría que ser más.
No, pero diría que es importante encontrar la vía de producir en su propio país antes de salir a buscar coproducción. Siempre volvemos a lo mismo, pero como buscar la manera de... Es como que mentimos todos, ¿no? Al final es como hay que mentir, hay que vender algo que no es, bueno, hay que encontrar la vía de financiar en tu propio país antes de salir a coproducir, porque si no, no... Es posible, siempre hay manera.
Siempre hay manera, it's always possible to do.
And I think to share the risk of something is always a good thing.
Very often you get into trouble because of
That's also
that was not the positive outlook. But I think that was the whole morning very positive.
Yeah, no, it was very positive. But it's always, it's sometimes in the panels, you get the impression at the end, oh, it's so difficult to do films. It's not here. It was very, very constructive.
And it's a nice life. I mean, look at me. I get invited by you coming to Madrid for 3 days, and I can talk here, some bullshit, and it's nice. We have a nice life.
That's a very good last sentence, I think. And thank you very much for your presence.
Una cosa, invitaros a la proyección que hay ahora a las 9, Revolución Industrial, dirigida y producida por Tiago Hespanha, y comunicaros que también mañana siguen las jornadas. Tenemos por la mañana a las 12 un encuentro, una masterclass del Musaki del Lab, que tendrán Chus Domínguez y Belén Sola a contarnos cuáles son esos otros procesos de producción alternativos a los márgenes de la industria, de la que se ha hablado tanto. Por la tarde tendremos un panel muy parecido a este, pero dedicado a Latinoamérica, con 3 grandes productores que vienen de allá para contarnos cuáles son sus experiencias. Y por la tarde una magnífica película que se llama Oscuro Animal, que también os recomiendo que nos perdáis. Muchísimas gracias a todos, a Günter por hacerlo tan ameno y muchas gracias a Sandra por estar ahí con las producciones. Gracias a todos.